Mr. Garcia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Chair DeFazio for holding this hearing on workforce development and job creation in the surface transportation industry. This issue is very close to my heart and very important to my district, which is a heavily Latino district in Chicago that has a lot of transportation, construction, and contracting businesses. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act authorizes 1.2 trillion to invest in our infrastructure, including 660 billion for the U.S. Department of Transportation. This level of investment is historic, but we ensure the benefits of this funding flows from states, transit agencies, and prime contractors to Black and Latino businesses and workers. For too long, minority businesses, especially Black and Latino businesses, have not received an adequate portion of contracts in the transportation, construction, and contracting industries. That discrimination only shatters the hopes and dreams of many business owners and workers, but ends up leading to disinvestments in these same Latino and Black communities. There are some really important programs in the IIJA that will help make meaningful progress in giving current and future Black and Latino transportation businesses and workers opportunities for success, including the U.S. Department of Transportation's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, or DBE program, but we got to do more. Next week, I will introduce comprehensive legislation to improve and strengthen the U.S. Department of Transportation's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise program and the Small Business Administration's 8A Business Development Program. This legislation will strengthen these programs by increasing the personal net worth caps to account for inflation, conforming to the U.S. Department of Transportation's DBE size standard with the Small Business Administration standards, and create universal recognition of DBE certifications. That means that DBE certifications will now be recognized across the states instead of the current patchwork system. I look forward to working with members of this committee and stakeholders on my legislation addressing these issues. A question for Ms. Rai. In your testimony, you highlight some of these issues you'd like to see addressed in the DBE program, like the personal net worth cap or the DOT size standards that my legislation would propose addressing. In your opinion, do you believe this committee should advance and mark up legislation that would accomplish those goals?
Thank you so much, Representative Garcia, and for your leadership in this effort. Yes, COMPTA would like to see closer oversight by DBE officers to avoid fraudulent front companies through more vigorous training programs for certification and compliance officers, and a stronger and clearer definition of good faith efforts with fewer waivers from DBE goals granted to majority-owned firms. In addition, you spoke about DBE size standards. We do support action that would conform the USDOT's DBE size standard with the Small Business Administration standards. We believe it's a simple fix to a big problem. In the interest of fairness and consistency and the survival of small minority-owned businesses, we believe that the USDOT should use the Federal Aviation Administration's model and use SBA size standards when making determinations with regard to small business status.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kupchak, do you agree that this committee and the U.S. Department of Transportation should work on legislative and regulatory fixes to these issues, including the ones you raised in your testimony?
Representative Garcia, thank you so much for your question and for your comments. Yes, I do believe that the committee and Congress have an opportunity to, without burdening or adding significant administrative burdens to employers, enact policy and strategies that we have seen that have demonstrated on, in the real world outcomes that are not just good for business, but are good for workers. And I would like to commend Ms. Karst as president of BX Civil and Construction, that she's committed to the workers that she employs. But I would also say that not every employer believes in or does the right thing. And so making sure that public investments are high road for workers and for businesses, including DBEs, that is a critical a moment for us to shift historic marginalization of those entities and ensure that all Americans working on publicly funded projects have access to economic security and dignity in their work. I hope
Thank
that
you so
answers your
much.
question. Thank you.
Thank you. I yield back, Madam Chair.